Merci, Joy. Good morning, everybody. Thank you to be there. I know the party yesterday evening was dense. I am a Bitcoin miner. I've been a Bitcoin miner for a long time. And I have run many projects in different countries around the world. But the most impressive adventure we had, and I had in my life, is our farm in Congo, the Virunga farm. So you will see a film explaining the development of hydroelectricity in this region, how and why, and how the Bitcoin mining can help this local development. So it's a very short film, only 5 minutes. Stay focused and concentrate because it's very dense with information. Have a good, enjoy the movie. Let's go.
Virunga National Park spans more than 3,000 square miles and is home to over 50% of the animal species on the continent. It's also Africa's oldest national park and part of the second largest rainforest on Earth, making the lungs of Africa a critical battleground in the fight against climate change. Criminal factions are poaching wildlife and burning the forest at breakneck speed, and their actions are affecting all of us.
When it comes to the rebel groups and the militias, why did they choose Virunga? Why are they here?
You know, it's the civil war in Congo, then the Rwandan genocide that brought them here. But what's kept them here is the illegal trafficking of natural resources in the east of Congo, in particular Virunga National Park. So there you'll see some charcoal burning. Yep. It's the guerrilla sector. It's under enormous threat from the clearing of forest. There are thousands of acres of forest that have been cleared for charcoal, and it's really the main source of revenue for those militias.
Rebel groups and armed militias have pillaged Virunga. By burning trees and turning them into charcoal, they've created a $40 million a year black market that preys upon basic human needs, like boiling water and cooking food.
What we desperately need is clean energy, renewable energy, not oil and not charcoal.
And where is this renewable energy solution taking place?
Well, let me show you.
Emmanuel brings me to Matebe, home to a run-of-river hydroelectric plant in the heart of Virunga. It's powered by the Rutshuru River, which flows from Lake Edward and generates 14 megawatts of electricity, enough energy for over 1.5 million residents in nearby Goma. Since there's no dam, there's minimal disruption to the natural ecosystem.
We're hoping in the next 8 years to create 8 power plants like this to generate 105 megawatts. That is enough power to create between 80 and 100,000 jobs. Enough to draw out all the young men and women from the militias and work on a whole new instrument for bringing stability to the region.
We met Emmanuel de Merode at the beginning of 2020. 2 hydroelectric plants were already in operation, and a third one, on the Lugano River, was due for completion 6 months later. But it was clear to him that the grid in this extremely isolated area would not be ready, and it would be a long time before the plant would have sustained demand. The ideal would be an electro-intensive customer who would set up on the production site. But who would want to set up a factory in Congo, in the country's most dangerous zone, in the middle of the jungle, in a mountainous area, with no railroads, no internet, and the closest village more than 4 hours away? Could Bitcoin mining cope with these conditions? We thought so. Would any professional miners risk their lives and their production tools in this environment? Well, before saying yes, we studied the situation. Emmanuel de Merode and his team's commitment to the preservation of the park is a fight to the death. Over 200 rangers have been killed in the last 20 years, and he himself was ambushed and shot several times with an AK-47. We were in the presence of true ecological fighters, heroes, and they were asking for our support. So, we started as soon as the plant opened in September, with 2 containers. The Virunga farm was born. Nothing has been easy. as the violence has only intensified over the last 3 years. In addition to chronic insecurity, we've had numerous storms cutting off power to the farm, and recently, floods on a scale never seen before in the region. But it is a resounding success. For the Virungas, the revenue coming from this farm is about $100,000 per month. And that's enormous. We've shown the park management that we can absorb the excess power with extreme conditions and constraints where no electro-intensive industry would set foot. Only mining can do this. The mining farm only employs local people, a fantastic team managing a highly technical expertise under the constraints of Congo Mountains, which probably makes them the most extreme miners in the world. Today, the 4th Virunga hydroelectric power station is under construction in the northeast, near Rongoba. The Virunga Park Authority, as more and more electricity suppliers are coming into the Bitcoin mining, knowing that this customer of last resort now exists, and that it can be counted on. So when someone tells you that the electricity used for Bitcoin could be used for something else, for a more dignified purpose, remember the Virunga farm.
Tout le monde a sa ceinture, c'est bon?
Can start again. It's in French. In French. So, I can't do it with proof of stake. So the Bitcoin mining can help the development of hydroelectricity everywhere in the world, but it's essential in Africa. In Africa, you have 600 million people without access to electricity. And only in 3 countries, Congo, Ethiopia and Nigeria, you have 231 million people without access to electricity. You have new plans, new projects with more and more electricity in Africa, but it's not enough because the population is growing faster than the electricity network. And the hydroelectricity is a big hope for the continent. You have 6 African countries with more than 90% of the electricity from the hydro. It's DRC, Namibia, Zambia, Ethiopia, Togo, and Sudan. But you have the possibility to make more because you have only 10% of the continent's hydropower potential exploited. So the potential is huge. It's 450 gigawatts. So now we know that the future of electricity in Africa depends on a decentralized energy solution because it's the cheapest option for providing electricity to people without access. I let you read this text because it's from a scientific study published in a scientific review, and they say if you build a plant too small, it's bad because of inequalities, and if you build too big, it's bad too because it's bankruptcy for the supplier of electricity. So you can understand the interest of mining at this moment, because when you have mining, you are never too big. Imagine the difference for the investor when you are sure your dam or your hydropower plant is never too big. That's why we need miners in Africa, more miners. Imagine the Bitcoin mining gives $4 billion every year to the energy sector. How much for Africa? Maybe $2 million. It's not enough. So I'm sure about it. Africa is set to become a very dynamic continent for mining. and we have to develop in these countries. It's my first point. My second point is I want to explain how the mining can help Bitcoin to be acceptable by the authorities. And I give you an example. We are in Oman. Last year, in 2022, we start to do mining, and you can see here the inauguration of the farm. It's a 400 megawatts farm, so it's a big project. And you can see the Minister of IT and Transport, make the inauguration of the farm. And in the same time, the central bank was totally against Bitcoin, and they just published an article explaining that Bitcoin is very bad. Don't touch Bitcoin, it's forbidden in the country. And the interest of the country is to sell the surplus, the big surplus of electricity they have in Salalah. And so the minister told me, the central bank, they don't make the law. So as soon as the mining is efficient for a country, the authorities can think that Bitcoin is cool, finally, and it will help the development, particularly in Africa. Mining will help the development of the adoption of Bitcoin. It was my 2 points, and it's finished. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.